You talked about in the second half of the game, you're not a big zone advocate, but you went to the zone because of the way that things were going.
Yep.
Is that something you feel like you're going to continue somewhere down the road?
I think, like many teams out there, you go to it to change up the tempo of the game. We had a couple good possessions of it in the first half. We had a couple really good possessions in the Miami game. And we're getting a little better at it, you know, so yeah, I think it's part of our defensive game plan now. I think it is for everybody. Clemson, who's always been a hard-nosed, disciplined, man-to-man team, has gone to a zone as well. So has a lot of other teams, you know. End of the Wake Forest game, Virginia did. I almost had a heart attack watching that, you know, with the shot clock, with maybe the emphasis on the defensive holding or bumping or hand checking or good evolution. Yeah, it's all part of it, you know. And so I think you're seeing more man-to-man advocates moving into, at least as a change-up, going to some zone. Oh, man.
The post touches, how do they compare Wednesday versus just what you've been seeing lately for Wake Forest when you're on defense?
Man-to-man wise?
Yeah.
I didn't think we guarded the post as well in the first half as we did in the second half. Even in the man-to-man, in the second half, we did a much better job on our post coverage. Sometimes it's not always the post players. There's three phases of post defense. It's the ball pressure, so guys can't throw on time on target passes. It's the positioning of the post, and it's also the backside help. You know what I mean? And you know, so many times you get caught lifted with a lot of the offenses nowadays, 4 out, 1 in, and different things. You got to be really disciplined on the backside in terms of helping in the post. Plus, you can't give post guys 2 or 3 dribbles. Like if you give Nick Jacobs or Chuck Mitchell 3 dribbles in the post, they're probably going to score.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to do a good job of being able to help down, but not give out easy kickouts for threes too.
Yeah.
So we had some very good defensive post coverage in the first half, but not as consistent as we were in the second half.
Speaking of the post players, you've naturally always mentioned that the who starts is predicated on how they practice, how they play. You've tried different combinations with James and Chuck and Nick. Have you seen any of those combinations that you felt were better than the others?
Well, I think one of the challenges that we face is there's been no consistent trend in that. You know, we feel we have four post guys, and every single one of them is going to get between 15, 16, and 24 minutes. I do think one of the things that we were better at, in particular in the last 10 minutes of the first half and in the second half, we rotated those guys and kept them fresh. And it's a good luxury to have four guys that you can put in there and feel confident with. So I think that's a big key, is keeping those guys fresh, because we ask them to do a lot. They got to defend, and we ask them to, offensively, it's not like they just sit in the post and don't do anything. So 4 minutes of a post player is different than 4 minutes as a perimeter, because there's the physicality that's going on that also gets into the fatigue factor. So keeping those guys fresh is a big key for us, and keeping them out of foul trouble. That way, if the guys aren't in foul trouble, you're not subbing due to fouls, you're subbing due to, and you want to get the guy out before his tank is empty. That way he can recharge faster.
And speaking of keeping guys fresh, you look at Clemson, pretty short bench, maybe played 7 guys, and one of those 7 only maybe 10 minutes into the game. You look at Blossingame, Roper, they're playing 38 minutes a game, so keeping a fresh guy on those guys is going to be important.
Very, very important. Very important. You would look at them in a lot of games have a 9-man rotation. But as you said, player 8 and 9 haven't logged a lot of minutes. So you got to do a good job of using that to your advantage if you can, and those guys are veteran players. One thing that I think is lost in all the stuff is, Roper and Noko are seniors, Blossom Gamey, and the guard from San Francisco, those guys are fourth-year juniors too. You know what I mean? So basically, you have four seniors in the starting lineup, and so it's amazing. Guys get tired when they're freshmen and sophomores. They don't get quite as tired when they're juniors and seniors. They have figured it out by then.
I think I've heard you say some nice thing about Noko and just the way he plays. He's kind of a hard-nosed player, kind of
Yeah.
your type of guy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson's my type of team.
Yeah.
They're tough, they're disciplined, they're physical. They, because of the upperclassmen now, they play with great poise. Down 10, up 10. It's the same Clemson Tigers. They do a great job, obviously. They're extremely well coached, but Noko's just a tough, hard-nosed, physical guy. There's been times where maybe he hasn't played as well in his career, and I like kids that never stop fighting. And because of that, he's had a great senior year, and he's been a big reason that they've been successful.
You look at Clemson, and they really, especially in the last game, really went to the Boston game a lot. 19 shots in the
Yep.
game, and he made a pretty high percentage, which makes it even worse if you're a defender.
Right.
Are you going to have to switch guys off on him?
Yeah,
or?
we got to keep fresh bodies on him. I think, again, a testimony to him and how good he is. Coming off the Virginia Tech game, where I think he only scored 8 points in that game, he came out very aggressive, and they went to him. He's been their go-to guy. He's an all-league player. You know what I mean? There's no question about it. He's had an all-league season already, and he's is improved in every area. I think the people talk about his improvement from the three, and obviously that statistically you can see that. But he's better off the bounce. He's better in the post, and he is a really, really good defender as well.